What is my project today? Well, it's not really a project. I'm just going over a thought process on getting some electrical down here for this whole couch unit. Okay, when we bought this unit a year and a half ago, they had it, it's electrified. This one is electric, you know, it comes out and folds back, and I'm not sure. Oh, here, there's Pip ears. Hi, Pip. And I'm not sure if this one is electrified. I think this one is. This one is. And that one is. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look underneath here, but I'll do that. I'll do that another time. But there's no electric for this, and luckily enough, this is not a concrete slab. If this was a concrete slab, obviously I couldn't add electrical to it, right? But I can get underneath this floor, believe it or not. Yeah, I can get underneath here, and I can install an electrical outlet under here somewhere. I'll probably install it under here or there. In fact, I might even install it over there and then run extension cords both directions, or here. It just kind of remains to be seen exactly how I want to do that just yet. But I know I'm going to have to cut through this. I'm going to have to cut through the carpet. There's pad underneath the carpet, and then there's the wood subfloor. And then underneath that, I can crawl around just about anywhere. Well, how am I going to get the power? How am I going to get the power there? Well, I'm going to tie on to an existing circuit, and I'm going to tie on to an existing electrical circuit for the duplex electrical outlets, something like that. You know, wherever there's a wall outlet, there's one there, there's another one, and this happens to be the exterior wall. Boom, kaboom. This is an exterior wall over here. Okay, so see, there's an electrical outlet there, there's one here. This one's still an exterior wall that goes out, even though it looks like it's on an interior wall, but it's an exterior wall. See, here's the windows. Okay, so one of these, and then here, look, here's an electrical outlet over here. This is an interior wall. These are interior wall. I could hook it from there, right there. I could get my power out of that electrical outlet. Or I could get my power out of that electrical outlet. Or maybe I can get it from over here. Okay, whichever one's shorter, whichever one's the easiest. Now, how am I going to do that? And am I going to let's answer another question. How do I know what circuit these are on in the electrical panel? And how do I know whether or not I should be on that plug or that electrical outlet as opposed to this one? Or as opposed to this one over here. Maybe I'm overloading a circuit. Well, as you can see, even if you were to overload a circuit, let's say, do you actually have things plugged into all these other electrical outlets? The only thing we got plugged in right now is for that light where the table is, and the TV, and actually there's a heater. That's right, I forgot about that. There's a heater to a fake little stove, a wood-burning fireplace, but it's just electric. Okay, so maybe I don't want it on that circuit, because if I've got that on, and then if I add another plug for these chairs, is that going to overload this particular circuit? I don't think it would, but I might want to check that, because maybe the exterior electrical outlets are on a separate circuit, and then the interior electrical outlets might be on a different circuit. So I'm going to have to check that, because if I can find a different circuit than this exterior circuit, then maybe that's the one I want to go off of, because I don't want to overload anything. Okay? Because I know I've got the light on over there, I've got the TV on, I've got an electric burning fake log fireplace right there, And on that, there's a motor on top of that, a blower to blow the heat, the hot air out of there. I've got high, medium, low on it. And then we also have a woofer thing. This was an extra thing to make the TV louder, you know, for the speakers. So maybe I don't want to have it on that exterior electrical outlet circuit. I'm glad I'm talking this through, because I would have thought, hey, no biggie, I'll just do it, whatever. So I'll have to figure that out. That'll be on a different video, okay? So then I have to determine what type of wire to get for this. And most of the time, electrical outlets are on 15 amp circuits. And I don't know if you saw my other video or not. I ran a separate video, and you might want to watch that one. It was showing how to make a material list for a project, and it was a ceiling fan in Mother's room. And we came back out here, but if you didn't see that, we're going to look at this real quick. Here's an electrical panel, and here's 20. These are 20 amp circuits with the two. See? 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. These are that means it's a twin breaker. There's two breakers right here in this one location. Isn't that cool? Because most of the time you'll see a fat breaker there, which is only for one circuit, let's say. These are called twins. And there's two circuits here, two circuits there, as opposed to just one. Now see, these just say 1.5. See that? These are 15 amp circuits. These are 1.5s. These are all 15 amp circuits. When I looked at those before, usually you'll see a little panel schedule. Usually it's attached onto an electrical panel somewhere. And sometimes you can't, if you don't have it, then you just have to figure it out a different way. But because we have this, we're going to look at these. This is bath hall, downstairs, exercise, that's lights. Here's exercise plugs, which means electrical outlets. Here's one for lights, plugs, GFI laundry, garage GFI, and the other ones are lights. Okay, so that, what does that tell me? That tells me most of the circuits, and we're downstairs, and so it's probably going to be rec room, exercise plugs, hall, or bath hall downstairs. No, it's not that. Probably rec room, exercise plugs. Probably that one. Rec room plugs. See, there's two of them. Exercise plugs, rec room plugs. And so one of those circuits, but either way, those are all 15 amp circuits. And that's 14 gauge wire as opposed to 12 gauge wire. And so I know that it's going to be 14 gauge wire wherever these electrical exterior electrical outlets are, and as well as the interior electrical outlets. I know it's 14 gauge wire. I just happen to have a little piece here. Funny that. Just happen to have a piece. Isn't that unusual? That's just a lucky thing, huh? And this is called 14 gauge wire, 14, and it's called cabling. Is sheathed cable, meaning an outside plastic sheathing over sheathed cable that has 3 wires in it, and the 3 wires are a white wire, a black wire, and a ground wire. And this is 14 gauge. It's called 14-2 with ground, this cable, meaning there's 2 wires, which is 14 gauge, and then there's a ground wire that doesn't have any sheathing or plastic coating over it. It's just separate. So it's 14-2, 2 wires, 14 gauge, with ground. The ground wire is bare copper. There's copper in both of these other ones. Hot wire, neutral wire, and a ground wire. And so that's going to be what I'm going to end up using for this particular project. When I go to, and so I'll have to do a little figuring out. If you're unsure, you can pull out an electrical outlet. You first have to turn the power off, pull it out, and have a little piece of the 14 gauge wire, have a little piece of 20 gauge wire, or what have you. No, just turn off once you find out which circuit this is, put a light on it, have a drill on it, put an extension cord on it, whatever, and find the associated breaker in your panel. And if it's a 15 amp breaker, then you know you can use 14 gauge wire. If it's on a 20 amp breaker, then you've got to get a 12 gauge wire, and it looks just like this, except it's 12 gauge, which is a little bit fatter, a little bit thicker than these wires, okay? And it's still going to be like this, black, white with the ground. 12-2 with ground, it's called. Or this is 14-2 with ground, okay? So I've got a little bit of work to figure out, and I would be hard pressed to think all of these electrical outlets are in one circuit, because by code you ask, you can find out. I don't know exactly how many now. I think it might be 12, 10 or 12 electrical outlets per circuit. Don't quote me on that. I would have to look it up and find out. And there's a definite number of electrical outlets that you can put on a 15 amp circuit with 14 gauge wire, okay? And then there's a certain amount that you can put on a, if that was 12 gauge wire in the wall, then there's a certain amount of electrical outlets you can put on the 20 amp circuit. You see what I mean? And there's a separate amount of light fixtures you can put on one particular circuit on a 15 gauge, 15 amp as opposed to a 20 amp, so forth and so on. And so I would be hard pressed to think all of these are on one circuit, okay? All of these in this room, they might be. And then I'll have to figure out, what do I want to do? Maybe the ones in this area over here on a separate circuit as opposed to this entire room, let's say. And if it is, then I have to decide, do I want to come over here and tap into that electrical outlet or this electrical outlet because it's on a different circuit than these over here? Because I don't want to overload the circuit, because maybe there'll be two people here watching TV and they're going to pull their feet out at the same time. You got two motors running there, you got a woofer thing over there, you got the heater blaster on, and you've got the high button turned on for the fan for the heater, and you've got a TV on. That might overload the circuit. I don't want the circuit tripping if those two people are running it, and then this guy tries to put his feet up as these guys are putting theirs down, and then the breaker tripped. Okay, who's going to reset the breaker? Come on, hurry up. Our show's on, the game's on. It's 4th and 1, and we got to see if these guys are going to make a first down, win the game or not. And you got to run out and reset the breaker or something. I don't want that. And so I'll have to figure out that. Okay, so that's one of the steps I'm going to have to go through. Here's the next step I'm going to have to figure out for this project. Well, that's all I got for this time. But I'll be back with more videos. And I'm looking forward to this project. I hope you are too. Keep watching my channel.